Claire. Good afternoon, good evening from Asia Pacific region, and good morning to the European colleague. Welcome to the thematic session on Youth Reporter Holding Humanitarian Actor Accountable, organized by Plan International Asia Pacific in collaboration with our youth reporters from Nepal and Philippines, and colleague from Plan International Nepal and Plan International Philippines. My name is Vanda Lengkong from Plan International, and I will be your moderator of today's session. Before we start the session, I would like just to read out some of housekeeping information for our reference of today's session. First of all, you will notice that you will have entered the meeting with your camera off and your audio muted. Please keep your audio muted to help keep background noise to a minimum. Secondly, if you are invited to speak, please unmute yourself by pressing the microphone button in the bottom left-hand corner, and feel free to switch on your video, on your camera, your video and mic by using the button in the left corner. Please be aware that this session will be recorded and shared post-event.
And many of the young reporter raised the voice about the safety of.
If you have any difficulties, the MYT team are here to help you with it. So you can able to use the chat function in here or the virtual meeting platform to ask any technical question, or email the team, event@myt.uk.com, where MYT team will be there to help you immediately. For asking question, ladies and gentlemen, during the session, you will need to go to www.slido.com as showing in your screen, and you can access it from any web browser. Enter the code #CHS, select the room corresponding to the name of this session. So you need to select the youth reporters and select question and answer, and you can post there your question. My colleague Alicia Ferry will be monitor the chat box on Slido, and then we will be get back during the question and answer session. Lastly, in this session, we will having our youth reporter from Nepal and Philippines, Manju and Kareli. And so as part of the safeguarding policy from Plan International, we would like to request and remind all participants, please not to contact them directly or privately throughout the session and after. We will thank you very much for your cooperation on this regards. And again, you can use the chat box facility for introducing yourself, your name, and where is your organization, and where is your dialing in for today. Right. So that's all the housekeeping information for today, and we basically ready to start. This session will be sharing experience of Plan International, Nepal and Philippines experience on how we engage youth reporters in our disaster risk management work, and show how children and youth, especially girls affected by crisis, can be a leader and active driver of change. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our first speaker of today. He is my dear colleague, a humanitarian and development worker. He has been deployed to numerous emergency response and helped strengthen capacity of emergency response team and government partners in adhering to and promotion of sphere standard and core humanitarian standard in different contexts in Asia. So everyone, let's all welcome Angelo Inan Melencio from Plan International Asia Pacific, who will speak and talk about the Youth Reporter Project in the Philippines. Inan, the floor is yours.
Good day, everyone. My name is Enan Melencio from Plan International, and I'm here to present about the Youth Reporter Project in the Philippines. So the Youth Reporter Project started in the Philippines in 2014 as part of Plan International's Typhoon Haiyan emergency response program. There were previous efforts, but only in Haiyan did we put significant funding and focus. It supports children and young people to share their stories and priorities to other children, other young people, adults, and also, of course, to humanitarian agencies and government. And to be able to do that, they were trained on content creation, creative media, videography, and broadcast journalism. So essentially, the youth reporters are the voice of children and young people for children and young people. But first, let's discuss why is it important for children's voices to be heard during crisis. So as many of us are aware, children are one of the hardest hit during disasters. 50 to 60% of people affected by disasters are typically children. And, disasters exacerbate already existing vulnerabilities. So just to give you a picture, a few statistics, more than 117 million children are projected to be living in monetary poor households by the end of 2020. So poor families will become poorer by the end of this year, which means that children's access to basic services crucial for their survival and development is affected. Around 188 countries have imposed school closures, which has affected 1.6 billion children and young people. And many of them do not have access to internet at home. So even if many governments have imposed distance learning platforms, the lower income countries would have that less support for children to have access to internet, so which exacerbates digital exclusion. And also 36 million children may go hungry in 2020, and we know that hunger leads to undernourishment, which affects cognitive functions and the overall growth of children. So these are just a few numbers, and I'm sure we'll be able to find more. But to add that children and young people often feel that they are voiceless during crisis and that they are afraid to express their views. So when this happens, as humanitarian actors, sometimes miss addressing their needs. So Plan International just recently did a listening exercise, and we listened to girls and young women in the areas where we work in Asia, and we put that in one document. And these girls and young women told us that they are particularly hard hit in health emergencies because it disrupts education, it increases the risk for sexual violence, and also mental health risks. So the question is, how are the youth reporters helping in giving voice to marginalized children, marginalized girls, and young women? First is that youth reporters help amplify children's voices as well as their communities. So through their skills on content creation, creative media, videography, and broadcast journalism, they are able to effectively voice out their concerns to government and humanitarian actors. So it's more of proactively telling us what they need rather than waiting to be asked. So so these are two examples. Uh, During Typhoon Haiyan and even typhoons after Haiyan, so the youth reporters have reported their situations 6 months after, or even months after the typhoon, and these reports are posted on social media and YouTube, and are sent to humanitarian actors and government for us to act on their needs. So I'm going to show you a video clip as an example.
Kabilang naman sa pangailangan ng Giwan, particular dito sa Barangay Taytay ay ang kakulangan sa punong kahoy. Masyadong mainit dito kapag tag-araw, walang nasisilungan ng mga tao. Ito ang naidulot sa pagwasak ng bagyong Yolanda sa kanilang lugar. Naapektuhan din ang hanap buhay ng mga tao dahil sa wala ng mga puno ng nyug na nagsisilbing pangunahing pinagkukunan ng hanap buhay ng mga tao. Ito po si April ng Youth Reporter, nag-uulat.
Second is that the youth reporters help bridge their peers and communities with the humanitarian and government agencies. So these children and young people are trusted conveyors of their community's problems and concerns. So what they do, so just to provide examples, so these are the interviews that they did with village officials about the infrastructure and shelter support humanitarian agencies and government is providing. So they gather questions and concerns of children and adults in their communities, and then they schedule interviews with the government officials and then ask these questions. So in a way, they are holding us and the government accountable to our promises and the work that we're doing. So I'm going to also show you a clip as an example.
Meron po bang maaasahan na suporta ng youth reporter ng UR mula sa LGU if ever wala na po ang plan?
An LGU will be behind you. We will make some justification or some plans for your youth, for this youth reporter, for the future.
This community screening is a terrific idea. It brings people together, different agencies, governments, the local communities to discuss issues which are of concern to everyone here. So this is a terrific example of community development.
And finally, just showing the impact of what we're doing with the children. So the youth reporters are their community's leaders of today and tomorrow. So they are an example of how helping build local communities during crisis can boost confidence and help empower vulnerable groups to take leadership roles in their communities. So by helping these girls have a voice, helping these youth reporters have a voice and a broader platform, they help increase other girls and young people's confidence, agency, and decision making and leadership to advocate to their community, national level, and even the global levels. So they are leaders of today, and Plan International is helping build responsible and transparent leaders of tomorrow. So this is the future of accountable aid, and the future is bright. So these are examples of what they're doing now to support COVID-19 pandemic response of Plan and other agencies. So because of the restrictions to travel and the lockdowns in many areas in the Philippines, they are producing information materials from their homes. So they less videos of their communities, but more communication materials, communicating life-saving information. So aside from these infographics, they also record public service announcements, which we play through radios and even mobile speakers in communities, for people to understand how to mitigate the risks of the pandemic. Plan International puts a prime in safeguarding of children and youth, and my colleague Shriram will be the one to discuss how they're doing that in Nepal, which pretty much is the same in the Philippines. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Inan, for a very lovely presentation, as well as the amazing work that you share about the youth report in the Philippines. For all participants, we are apologize for maybe some blurry from your end. So we are trying to move it. MYT colleague will be helping us to share from their side. So hopefully for the next presenter, we will not having the blurry, view from your screen. Apology for that. All right. And thanks again, Inan, for the video clip. It's really, really interesting. Our second speaker is a seasoned communication professional with 16 years experience on humanitarian and development communication. He led the communication in the 2015 Nepal earthquake with Plan International and lead the Youth Reporter project, which now expanded to support the COVID-19 crisis. Everyone, let's welcome my colleague Shriram Casey from Nepal. Shriram, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, this is Sriram Kessi from Plan International Nepal, and I'm very happy to be here with sharing about our experiences and learning from the youth reporter making humanitarian agencies accountable. As COVID started to hit Nepal, we began to respond our activities supporting people who were affected by the COVID. In each disaster, Plan International initiated youth reporter projects in order to have the voice of young people to give a shape of the response activities. In 2015 Nepal earthquake, we initiated the youth reporter project in first time in Nepal, and after learning from it, we again implemented this project once the COVID hit the country. So basically, this youth report project that we aim to engage young people to have their voices in the evolving crisis of COVID-19. So we wanted to engage young people in learning media skills, raise issues and voices in the time of disaster, and ask stakeholders to be accountable in their response and activities. So this, as a project, we empower and enable the capacity of young people through trainings, orientations, and consultation. This was held through the online means in the first time in our context. And this project was expanded in 7 districts for 28 young people, and out of them, there are 68% are girls. So in the time of disaster, especially in the crisis time, the young people, the youth reporter, one we have trained, they worked as an active driver for messaging, an effective communicator, and community resources. And you can see some of the youth reporter in action. They visited the families. They were articulating messages to the people, how they can be safe, and they are also checking what the local government or stakeholder or the humanitarian agencies were taking response activities in their communities. So to do so, what we did in June and July in 2020 is through the project, we carried out a baseline to know about the skills, their access to social media, what they use, and based on that, we developed a short curriculum, and based on that, we provided online consultations. We discussed with them, and we carried out virtual workshop on media productions that was mostly focused on photography, creative writing, and video production, storytelling. And those where we were monitoring through remote monitoring, we are carried out, and we provided a lot of coaching skills to the young people, and we connected them with the national online news site so that they can continue. And as a result of these online training virtual workshop on media productions, the young reporter were able to produce 12 blogs, 8 interviews, and 3 audio stories and photo journals. And those all were related about their acts, the issues that the young people are facing, the girls are facing, and what they want as a response from the humanitarian actors or agencies in their communities. And you can see some of the blogs over here in the news site and our website as well. They were raising about the different issues they are facing and what needs to be done in coming days. And these all are there about their opinion and ideas. And then these you can see, these are the Facebook posts created by the young people who are trained, and they were sharing with their Facebook and Twitters and Instagram. They're asking about their parents to pay attention about the menstrual hygiene, personal hygiene, because girls have their own needs and issues. And apart from these, some of the young people are requesting their parents and colleagues to better utilize their time to make creative as well. And these were the posts they were shared in their Facebook and social media. And because the online media is growing in Nepal a lot, and there is a high number of reads, and it's much more interactive. Considering this factor, Plan also thought about how the youth reporter can be safe, or how we can make their life safe from the abuse, harassment, or threat or bullying online. So we carried out risk assessment with the mitigation plan we developed, and we oriented them what are the risks in terms of using social media or online tools. We supported them to have to use different passwords or different login names, and be sure that they do not share their online platform details to others, those mitigation measures in place. We also oriented the youth reporter what could be the risks for them and what they have to report or where they have to report in terms of reporting the cases. So with these ideas and tips and techniques, youth reporter were aware and followed what we have instructed in during the training. So with this precaution taking forward, with the short period of time, the young people were able to express their concerns through blogs and continues to writing still today, even in different platforms. And they were able to raise voices on safety and the discriminations in their communities during the time of lockdown. And many of the young reporters raised the voice about the safety of the quarantines in our communities, because the quarantines were not gender friendly, it were not girls friendly, and the rooms are same for the men and women, and there was no separate toilets. And after raising these issues, the local government convened and they started to have provisions for different service provisions for the men and women and girls and boys. There is a lot of contributions from the youth reporter as well. Thirdly, the youth reporter received a lot of exposure on national network and different forums, because they know what they have to communicate, and they were able to communicate what the exact issue in their communities, because many of the humanitarian agencies were not able to get exact pictures or information from the community. So in that case, these young people were sources for information. They contributed a lot. And similarly, these young people were become the good communicator in their community, and they were communicating about COVID, the government response, the humanitarian response currently happening in their communities. So it helps a lot them to be responsible, and they were giving a lot of inputs to the stakeholders what needs to be done for in terms of girls, the differently able people, people living with disabilities. They were articulating their ideas. And you can see the online reach that Plan International Facebook page has a 44K reach, and the Silapatra, the national news online, those are the reach of the content produced by the youth reporter. And apart from this, there were thousands of other reads by the young people, and it has one of the authentic information they were sharing, and they were a part of the humanitarian response as well. So when talking about challenges to implement these projects, there was low internet connectivity, minimum level of knowledge and skills on using IT. And this was a very difficult time. No mobility was there. So no physical meeting during the project period, because it was not possible to travel. And it's all happened through the online platform and which. So to overcome these challenges, we supported all youth reporter at the top of facilities on mobile for data, so that they can log in on time when they need to post and share. And similarly, we did a lot of follow-up to support them, ask them, and encourage them. And we did a rigorous monitoring with the youth reporter. And it was a mentoring and coaching. We provided a lot of skills and learning to mentoring and coaching, and we were checking their well-being, how is their condition and what is going on. And we all, the facilitators and our team and partners, were supported a lot to them in time of difficulties. So what we also learned from this project is the youth reporter as better communicator in time of crisis, and making humanitarian agencies accountable, because they were asking, they were challenging, and they were engaging in the response work. And they can also influence and raise their issues in time of difficulties using technologies as well. And they can also continue their acts if they are connected with the news portal and media houses for sustainability of their learnings and tips. That is what we learned through the small initiative that was implemented right after the COVID crisis, which is still going on. So learning from this, we are scaling up this youth reporter project in other areas as well. So having said this, I would like to thank you for all your attention to listening these experiences. And as you can see some of the YouTube videos and the coverage that was shared publicly. And one of our youth reporter is now ready to respond if you have any queries and questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Shiram, for that impressive sharing of the work of the youth reporter in Nepal. And also good to see Manju, one of our youth reporter who is also joining us today and will be able to answer your question at the end. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our last speaker is a communication professional, a formal print journalist and now involved in communication for development project, an experienced humanitarian coordinator, and has field experience in some of the most challenging environment in South Sudan, serving under Internews. Let's all welcome Gian Libord from Internews, who will give us a reaction on the two presentations that we already heard from Nepal and the Philippines. And before that, again, just to remind, if you have any question, please go to www.slido.com and put your question there. We will come back after this session from Gian. Gian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, friends from Plan International. Really like the videos from the Philippines and Nepal regarding the Youth Reporter Initiative. And there are three takeaways or responses that I'd like to highlight when it came to viewing those videos, specifically the activities that really touched on harnessing the power of the youth in making humanitarian organizations accountable. I think the three themes that I'd like to go over is the fact that the youth have a very unique energy that they bring in towards operations, especially to the field of humanitarian accountability. The second is that they also provide or bring into the picture some unique skills that other sectors are not too acquainted with or not too familiar with. And the last, but certainly not the least, is that the youth also represent a special network and that kind of ability to be able to share their voice and spread their knowledge and act as sort of leaders in their communities is something that's really quite interesting in the way these activities have been done. I think one of the things that struck me the most, especially regarding the unique energy of the youth, is that for both the Philippines and the Nepal examples really was a testament to how engaging the youth reporters were, whether it was going to many different areas, a lot of areas that are quite far to reach, and at the same time, and even some of the videos that, for example, the Philippines activity showcase, you could really see the vibrance and the way these reporters were engaged in the story and how they told about the issues and how that sort of echoes quite clearly towards the community that they were interacting with. The other thing that I also found really interesting was the fact that a lot of the videos that were shown, especially on Nepal, for example, really vibrant and colorful when it came to the outputs that the youth reporters have given out. So this wasn't your standard form of accountability in a sense that we're looking at maybe some feedback mechanisms, for example. This was, using different tools, whether this was through posters or whether these were through blogs. I mean, these are really the kind of things that, the kind of energy that tapping into youth reporters can bring to, and it's really unique in that situation. The other thing is the skills, obviously. I think a lot of the products that were done were based off the fact that you have a sector that is quite, has a high degree of intuition towards technology, and the fact that they are sort of digital natives in many ways. So they can use the internet, they can use social media to promote their message. And that's one of the things that really struck me the most in using that kind of sector to tap into your activities. And then last but not the least is the fact that, you know, there's an unexplored area of networking, which were done in both those activities. I think for me, what was really striking was the fact that both for Nepal and the Philippines, the youth reporters were sort of not prevented by virtue of their age. They were not hindered from acting in positions of leadership. So they showed their potential in becoming leaders. And Anand, you know, said it best when he said that at an early age you introduce them towards this kind of opportunity, and that sort of cascades to everyone else around them. So that sort of network and potential can really be untapped by this kind of effort, and I'm really struck by that contribution by the youth, and I think that's something that a lot of organizations should definitely explore. Which brings me, I guess, to one of the things that I'd like to share today, which is an activity that we are planning to do for the Philippines, which is engaging the youth in rumor tracking. And I just go over this really quickly, which is to say that rumor tracking is something that we're doing, especially addressing rumors and misinformation surrounding COVID-19. And we're definitely looking at the youth as one of those sectors that we will be engaging with, and obviously relying on to be able to address this infodemic that we are facing.
All right, thank you so much, Jian, for your insight and reaction. And we really appreciate also the collaboration with Internews in the regional risk communication and community engagement for COVID-19. And thank you for sharing that reaction. And for the participant, if you would like to know more about what Internews do in the region as well as in the world, you can go to www.internews.org. All right, now we are come to the very interesting session. We would like to interact with our two youth reporters because you already heard from Plan International Nepal and Philippines colleague. So there are two young girls is engaging with us today. I would like to go first to Manju. Manju, if you can able to unmute yourself and introduce who you are, as well as maybe share briefly with us what are the impact of being as a youth reporter? What is the add value in your daily life? Manju, over to you. Manju, if you can unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone.
Right. Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Manju Thapamagar. I'm youth reporter of Plan International from Nepal. I'm 18 years old. I'm studying in grade 12 and I'm a science student. I'm a child rights activist. So after completed our reporter training, it has a great impact in my life. It's bring a huge change. And it's built up my confidence level than before. Now I'm able to take an interview with the stakeholders, and it is very great platform for us to raise the issues, problems of our society through our articles. It also make a changes in our written and thinking capacity. Before, we don't know about how to report, and we also don't know about the reporting. So after we getting the reporter training, we know a lot of things about the reporter, how to write a blogs, how to take an interview. So it has a great impact in my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Really, really inspired comment, Manju. Please stay with us. There are already some questions that we would like to help you to answer. All right, next one, Karili from Philippines. If you can unmute yourself. And again, same question. What is the impact and add value of being a youth reporter in your daily life? Okay, Karili, over to you.
Hello everyone. So I am Carol from the Philippines, a youth reporter. I am 17 years old, and the impact that being a youth reporter has helped me learn in creating and editing infographics and making video contents and improving my skills in journalism, such as writing articles and reporting. And because of this, I was able to write articles better regarding the issues in the community, and I was able to develop my speaking skills and communication skills with other people. And also, I was able to actually apply the skills that I have learned because I was able to create a body confidence video, and this has helped me, of course. Um, this has helped me address the insecurities that I have in my body, and of course, this has also helped the other girls' issues with their body. This has helped them become more confident and become more empowered, and that would be all.
All right, thank you so much. Really interesting that you mentioned that it can also not only you but also really giving impact to other girls in the Philippines. Okay, the same Carolee, if you can able to stay with us for answer some of the question. Thank you very much. And for the participant, thank you also for the question that you already posted on Slido. My colleague Alisa will be mentioned the first question and will be answered by our youth reporter. Alisa, if you can able to read out the first question, please.
Hi, Vanda. Thank you so much. So the first question for the youth reporters, how do youth reporters overcome intimidation in confronting controversial issues of aid disbursements? Are they mostly reporting only on quote unquote good issues?
Thank you, Alisa. I think this is a perfect for Manju and perhaps can be added by Shiram if Shiram have something to add. Manju, if you willing to answer that, please. Over to you.
We are, uh, it's really a good question. We are communicate with our stakeholders, our governmental bodies, our president of rural municipality. We stay with them and we have do a meeting with them and sharing about this problem and sharing about this problem, how it's affects in the child life. So we all are doing whatever we're doing with coordinate with our stakeholders and yeah, president of our rural municipality.
All right, thank you, Manju. Shiramji, if you would like to add from the perspective of plan as well. Yeah, over to you.
Hi, Vandaji. Thanks for the good question. In fact, the youth reporter, they were trained to raise their issues and the aid gap as well. So if we look back, the issues they reported is mostly about the issue and challenges. Challenges in terms of aid distribution, the relief activities, or in the situation of COVID, there were the government had decided to put set up the quarantines in the school, but the young reporter, they raised the issues and they frequently asked to the government people, and finally, with a lot of discussions, debate, and the government was able to move the quarantines from school to other locations. So that's one of the big success. So I wouldn't say that they only covering the good issues or let's say success, but in this COVID situation, they were mostly challenging their stereotypes of the response work. For example, in the relief item, they had not really thought about the hygiene kit that is required for the young girls, adolescent girls. Later, that was also corrected. So these were some of the good issues they raised and share. So that's one of the biggest success, I would say. The second is about they were covering the issue. Those were not covered by the mainstream media because mainstream media were mostly talking about very high level issues, not at the, in fact, the most community issues. So these youth reporter, they cover the community issues, the most marginalized, because they were at the community, and in that time the mainstream media were not able to come into the community. So this is how they actually contributed to the response work, and they also influence the plan's response in other stakeholders as well. So I would respond in that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siram, for that additional. And ladies and gentlemen, we already like 5 minutes to end of our session, but if you may able to stay for another 3 or 4 minutes after 4 p.m. or 10 a.m. your time, because we a little bit late also starting, we will go for the second question. Alisa, over to you.
Thank you, Vanda. So the second question is, what are some of the unique advantages of having the youth take this initiative over older, so-called seasoned reporters or conventional media? Thank you.
Super, and I think this is perfectly can able to be answered by Carolee. Okay, Carolee, over to you from Philippines experience.
Hello. So regarding that question, I think the unique advantage that we have when the youth take this initiative over is that since we know the needs of the youth, we are able to express our concerns better. Thus, when we express our concerns or questions to our government officials or our stakeholders, they are able to effectively provide a better solution because we are also from the same community that is affected, and because we are also able to help our other the youth or the other children better because we can relate to them, and thus we can give a better solution for them, and we can uh, we can address their issues and concerns in the community better.
Okay, thank you so much, Carolee, for that response. Okay, we have one final question, Alisa.
Thank you. So the final question is, do you also have experience in engaging with out-of-school youth to promote such initiatives, especially in the multi-disaster affected communities? And if so, how was it?
All right, I think that's a quite tough question. I would like to call Jian, Intern News, if you have any reaction to that, and it can be added by Inan, if any. Jian?
Sure. I think the question was about out of school youth, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's when we talk about the youth, I think it has to be representative. You need to engage a wide variety of concerns, and even within the youth themselves, there's I guess clusters of representation. From our experience with interviews, we do want to have a very wide approach, and I think Plan has that same approach as well. You know, you have somebody who is in school, but you also have, I guess, people who are out of schools, because those have a very unique set of experiences too. And I think it's important to be as representative as possible, even in terms of gender as well. Like having both male and females included into the selection would be a good thing to have. I guess, and I would have a bit more to add on that for Plan. Thanks.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Inan, if you have any additional before I'm going to wrap up, because I think we are already at the end of our session. Inan?
Yeah, just very quickly, and giving the example of Typhoon Haiyan, which is the strongest storm that we have experienced. And so we have a lot of children and youth involved. So that includes a lot of those that are not in school. And so what we just do is, we do consultations, asking them how we will be designing the modules. So it's more of a co-designing the modules with them to be able to understand how they will be able to pick up the necessary skills for youth reporting. That's it.
Thank you so much, Inan. And just to add very quickly on that one, in the other country offices, like in Vietnam, we also working with the minority children, as well as in Laos, not specifically for youth reporter, but with the community engagement program initiative for COVID-19. All right, apology, we cannot able to answer every question because of the time limitation, but we will able to respond to you by email. So again, thank you very much for all the active engagement from everybody. If you have more questions, you can able to reach out to us. There will be a email at the end of this session. You can able to contact Angelo Melencio at planinternational.org .org. And so to wrap up the session, let me be first thanking Manju and Karali, our youth representative from Nepal and Philippines, for being here and share their view and their voice in this lovely event. Keep up the great work, girls. And second to Inan, Shiram, and Jian for the great sharing and also share your insight. Thirdly, to all the participants for being here. I saw some of the familiar names in the participant list. Thank you for joining us, as well as to the organizer, CHS Alliance and MYT colleagues, Claire and Rob, who are supporting us in this event, and to Alicia Ferry, my colleague from Plan International UK, who's supporting us into the question and answer. So let me close this session with sharing 3 key takeaways. Girls, boys, and youth can be considered as an active driver of change, which can help humanitarian response become more appropriate, relevant, timely, and effective. The session today gives us concrete example how they can effectively voice out their concern and needs, as well as their community to humanitarian agency and government actor. Secondly, girls, boys, and youth are community resources that can be tapped to improve the resilience of their community. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, they are an effective risk communicator and help to improve complaint mechanism. This session able to show evidence how the youth reporter can help poor and marginalized community have access to life-saving and culturally appropriate information, and how they can be trusted conveyor of their community problem and complaints to humanitarian actor. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to walk the talk. And as humanitarian actor, myself, yourself, and our agency, let's continue working and involve children and youth, especially girls, because together we can contribute to help build responsible and transparent leader of tomorrow, while help the future of accountable aid. Again, thank you very much for attending our session, and have a great day. Have a great also exchange event for CSS Alliance, and stay safe, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vanda. So just a reminder to everyone that there is a coffee break available for you to join on the virtual platform. If not, we'll see you in about 10 minutes time in the next session. So thank you for everyone for joining us today.